When the city is being overrun by a gelatinous monstrosity, what's the best course of action? Run and hide? Fight back? Or maybe roll some dice and collect its body for study? Regardless of your method, dealing with this jelly monster is a fast-paced exercise in party game strategy. This is Attack of the Jelly Monster. Attack of the Jelly Monster from Libelud Games is a quick party game for 3 to 5 players that involves dice rolling and fast-paced decision-making. The game takes place on the city board, which has already been overtaken by the titular Jelly Monster. Players take on the role of military scientists who wish to study the monster as much as possible before the army sends it back into space. To do so, they must collect as many jelly points as possible each round. To collect jelly points, they take their actions determined by their dice rolls. The game takes place over 4 rounds, each lasting only a couple minutes. Once the city is constructed, each player takes their set of 7 dice and matching player screen. The drone, which is the round tracker, is placed between the 2 districts to decide where scoring starts, and the round marker is set to 1 on the drone. The oldest player announces the beginning of the round with a countdown, and players all roll their dice into their screens. All players play at the same time, placing the rolled dice in front of the districts of their choice to try for the most jelly points. Certain dice numbers can provide strategic adjustments to other players' placements. 1s and 2s allow you to replace another player's die, and 3s and 4s change the reward the district provides. 5s and 6s are simply bigger numbers, increasing the chance of claiming the district. Once a player places all their dice, they can lock a district of their choice by placing their player screen in front of it, over the placed dice. No more dice can be played in front of that district until the following round. If the player who locked a district first decides to do so, they may then flip the included sand timer to give all other players 10 seconds to complete their dice placements. Once the timer is done, or all players finish, the round is over and scoring begins starting with the first district to the left of the drone. Once each district has been scored, the rewards reset, the dice are returned, the entire board, including the drone, is rotated, and the next round begins. There are also jelly pods earned from both district awards or if your dice were removed to the middle of the board the most. Play continues for 4 rounds, and the player with the most jelly points at the end of the game wins. The game is comprised of the city board, the districts and their various rewards, various tokens, player dice and screens, and a sand timer. The board is unique in that you use a different size depending on the number of players, the smallest being for the minimum 3 and the largest for the maximum 5. The districts are double-sided, with more advanced reward rules on their opposite sides, allowing for variety in each game. For new players, it's recommended to use the side with the green lights on the corners. The districts attach like puzzle pieces to the central city board to create the entire city. The reward markers are placed in each district to mark the scoring reward. These fit very well into the slots they were sized for and move fairly easily if the surface underneath is smooth. The point and jelly pod tokens are clearly printed, and their shapes help them stand out even further. There are a lot of point tokens, and the game comes with extra bags to contain them once they're punched from the cardboard. The dice are plastic, small, and clearly colored for each player. As the primary form of play in the game, they will get rolled a lot, but their quality is sufficient for frequent rolling. The player screens are printed with small reminder images for what the dice can be used for in play, and are clearly decorated to match player color. Finally, the plastic sand timer consistently times out the 10 seconds required for finishing out player turns. All in all, the game is well constructed in each individual piece. My only complaint is that sometimes the districts don't piece together well with the city board, and I worry that frequent use will fray the board after a while. Attack of the Jelly Monster is a party game about military scientists vying for top billing, with the Jelly Monster already spread about the city. The artwork, vibrantly illustrated across all boards, portrays the monster in every nook and cranny. The high-tech design of the jelly pods and the canisters fits the sci-fi feel the game is portrayed with. Overall, the game looks and feels accurate to its B-movie origins.
What do you want with my life?
Players taking their turns at the same time has the potential for a fast-paced, middle-of-the-battle feel to it, but ends up feeling more tedious. The small size of the board creates a situation where hands clash and cross, which leads to turns being more careful and slow. This directly contradicts what the gameplay is trying to be. While the style and presentation is fun, the game itself doesn't quite live up to what it wants. The dice numbers having various actions associated with them provide some slight strategy, but the cumbersome term method makes the strategy feel tacked on. The game has its moments of fun in the first couple of rounds, but the last couple end up repetitive. With the wrong districts chosen for setup, it eventually feels like everyone is going for the same scores, and the game devolves into a gotcha fight that isn't very interesting. While I was expecting the game to pick up in both pace and fun with my children, I actually found it to be about the same. They were slightly confused about the dice placement steps, so turns were fairly slow and meticulous. Once I got it figured out, it was a little bit better, but they didn't really feel like playing again after our run. While the ideas were interesting, the execution was slightly lacking. Attack of the Jelly Monster receives a 6 out of 10. Thank you for watching The Raven's Nest. To view the unboxing of this game, click the card on screen, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to turn on notifications for the next review, and happy gaming. Works fine on the bigger board. And time.
Oh, I didn't know we were on time.
I didn't announce it, I'm sorry. I'll do better with that.
That's a good thing to know.
Yes.